All right, hello. Miss Bennon here. I'm going to go over with you today how to start creating some pop art for our first online photo editing project. The whole point of this video, which is great for online distant learning, is that you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can repeat it as many times as you want. So while you're listening to this, don't let me get 10 steps ahead of you while I'm talking. Definitely pause and definitely take a minute to work with me. Don't let me do all of this explaining and then you are at the end of the video saying, what just happened? So work with me. If it takes you a little longer, just pause the video. That's the genius of this video and being able to do online work together. All right. So we're going to start by actually opening the website that we need to get to for photo editing. In the real world, in my perfect happy place, we would all have Photoshop, but that is A, very expensive program, and B, takes up a lot of space on a computer. So you could not do it on a Chromebook because it would crash the Chromebook. So we have an alternative that works pretty well for a photo editing website, and that's called Pixlr. So in your address bar, type in Pixlr, Pixlr.com. And you also want to add a /, which is kind of by your shift and enter key, /editor, EDITOR, editor. Click enter. And this box pops up. This should be the website you're on. If you did not get to this website, you may have spelled something wrong or didn't add the editor part and it took you somewhere else. So again, pixlr.com/editor. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see there are these two boxes full of all these words explaining these programs. The one with the more words, Pixlr E, that has a lot more tools. You can tell by all of the different checkboxes it has. So we will launch that one, launch Pixlr E. So you just got to click on the launch button. From here, you probably won't have anything really popping up in the biggest rectangle. I have a couple because I make stuff at home and I was doing another video. So I have my old video in here. I can just delete that. So we want to start one from scratch. So we're going to click on the far left. There's this create new button. So click on that. You'll see there's all these preset ones. There's ones for websites. There's ones for Instagram. There's ones for Facebook. Could be a fun tool for you for that in the future, but we're going to actually make a custom one. So if you go over to the right here, for the name, put in your name because I want to know whose project this is. And if you could put in 5A, 5B, 5C, 6A, 6B, that would help me grade this in the long run. I'm going to put 6S because that doesn't exist, so nobody should do that. The width and height, we're going to actually make 2000 because we're going to have a lot of workable space here. And that means we'll have a better quality image. At the bottom of this little square, you'll see there's a slide tab over here for background. We're going to say yes, we want a background so we can kind of see what's going on. And I'll click on this biggest white oval. And I'm not going to worry about changing the colors because white is a good clean color to work with. So I'll click create. Boom, you're in. This is where we're going to get all the work happening. Okay. If I scroll in and out, if you have a mouse, it might be handy here. I personally am not using one because I don't have a mouse at home, but this is going to be your working space. Okay. So from here, this is, before you get into anything, we're going to save this. Okay. You're going to probably end up saving multiple copies of this or saving on top of your work frequently. So to do that, you're going to click File, like most programs, and you're going to go all the way down to the Save, or that's Control S. I do that pretty frequently. I'll just quick do it on my keyboard. But for now, we're just going to do File, Save, and a box is going to pop up. Okay. All right. So timeout. This is Miss Bennon recording at a different point. I realized as I was rewatching this video, I didn't tell you the correct way to be saving this. Originally, I said you should just save it as a JPEG and it would be fine, but I totally forgot the fact that in the future, we will be saving different layers. And if you save it as a JPEG, it will squish them all together, and we do not want that. So, what you should be doing, instead of having JPEG selected, like that light blue box is lighting up now, you're going to want to click on PXD. That just means it will save all the layers as is, and it will not squish it together, okay? So all the other settings you can leave the same, but make sure you are clicking the PXD rectangle, okay? Carry on. Instead of saying save, it says download. Because you're all working online, it is not on your device, so you have to technically download it. So we'll click download, and you can see it popped up at the bottom here. It makes it you think for a little bit. It says downloaded, and then you can click close, and it tries to give you ads, and nobody likes ads, so we'll just close out of that fast. All right. So from here, we are going to find an image of a person to make into pop art. Okay. So I'm going to open a new tab, and Miss Bennon, without fail, her go-to person to search for any example is Captain Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know why. I've always used him as an example. So I'm going to look for Jack Sparrow, but you can look for whomever you wish. It could be an athlete, it could be a DJ, it could be an actor, actress, it could be a picture of you, could be a picture of your mom, but you should probably ask your mom or any other family members before you start going down that path. But anyway, once I'm in Google, I'm going to click on images because we want to see all of them. All right. Now, here's the catch when you are looking for an image. You want it to be a large quality photo. So if I'm kind of hovering, if I click on one and it opens up, if you look, if I hover my mouse over the top, it will pop up in this corner over here. Whoa, I didn't want to pick him up. It will tell you a number times a number. That's how many pixels are in this image. So if you remember, if we go back to our rectangle, we had 2000 by 2000. So the bigger the image, the more quality it is. So if it's like 300, 400, it's probably not the best quality. So before you pick an image, really kind of click on it and see what the size is. Like 600s are getting a little better. Honestly, if you could find another one in the 2000s, that's great because we can always make it smaller. So I'm just kind of going around here. I'm going to see if I can find a picture I like that's a little larger. We'll see. Another thing to think about too is that we're going to make this into a square eventually. So if I wanted to do this vertical image, I would probably have to chop off a lot of his hair. So that's something else to keep in mind as well. Again, with horizontals as well, the longer ones, you would probably have to cut out his sword or part of his hat because it won't fit. So if you can magically find a square photo of him right away, that would be awesome and easiest for you. But find one that you think looks the best, okay? I am going to go with this shifty-eyed looking Jack Sparrow. I will double click on this or use 2 fingers on my trackpad and open this up, and I'm going to copy image, okay? It should have automatically copied, so I'm going to go back over to my editing, and I'm going to go File. Actually, I'm going to go to Edit. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this one. They remodeled the whole website, so I'm figuring it out too. You'll go to Edit and Paste, or Control V, okay? It's going to ask you, do you want this to get pasted here? Yes, I'm going to allow that. And boom, I got my first picture on here, all right? You can see if you look over to the right-hand side, there are a couple of fun tools over here that you're going to want to keep track of. Up top is navigate. So if you click on the plus sign, it zooms in and you can move the little track around to zoom in and out. A really important one we'll get to later and further into this video is layers, because you can see right now I have a Captain Jack layer. You can see a really mini version of him right there. And then we have layer 1, which is your entire background. And then at the bottom, there's a history box, which we don't really need currently, but when it comes to coloring and doing more things, history is going to come in handy. All right. So from here, you can tell that Mr. Captain Jack, is not the right size. He's a little small. So what I'm going to do, you can see on the top when I have my arrow selected, there is a fixed and a free option. We're going to stick with the fixed because if you pull on the corner, it's going to stay the same proportions, okay? If you did free, it's going to get stretched out a little bit, okay? I did Control Z to undo that because I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to go back to fixed and I'm going to just drag from the corner and make them a little bit bigger. All right. From here, we have to make him into a square. All right. So over on the left, there is this marquee tool. It looks like a box that has little dashed lines in it. And if you hover over it, you get this sign. You're going to click on that. And when you are drawing with this box, you click and drag, and you see I can make this rectangle all sorts of sizes. Okay. I want this to be a perfect square though. So what I'm going to do, I have to get out of this. So I'm going to click Command or Control D for deselect. When I click on my marquee tool, I'm going to hold down the Shift button while I'm dragging it. Because now if I try pulling it around, if you don't go off your screen, it will stay a perfect square. All right. So I'm going to go around this area. And actually, I'm like, oh, this didn't quite get the right size I want. So I'm going to Control deselect again. And I'm going to start actually on my image, hold down Shift, and drag around it. All right. So you see everything's still there. However, you have a square around them. So this is going to be our working space. I'm going to go into my Select button at the very, very top. And I'm going to click Select Invert. Okay. So what that means is right now I have selected his face, but that's the area I want to keep. I want to get rid of everything else around it. So again, I'm going to click Select and Invert Selection. So it's going to select everything besides the face, so I can get rid of everything else. So from here, you can see another box popped up around the edges, and there is one around his face. So now if I just go to my keyboard and just click the backspace or delete button, it'll get rid of everything. Sweet. Very, very cool. Really the fastest way to make him into a square. Okay, now we need these little dancing gridded boxes to go away. So I'm going to do Control deselect, or you can go to Select deselect. You can see it's Control D up there. Okay, and I have his lovely, lovely square. Okay, now if I move him, well, you can see I missed a chunk because he was off the board. So if you have something like that too, you can easily grab the eraser tool, which is over here. It looks like a little eraser doing its job, or you can push the letter E on your keyboard and you can erase this. Okay, you can see that eraser is pretty tiny. I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger. I'm going to go to like 400 almost. Okay, I can get rid of that because we don't need it. All right, so go back to my move tool. You can see I got my square and I got Captain Jack and he's good to go. However, if I try to fit another one next to him right now, it won't fit. So I'm going to grab that corner and I'm going to shrink him up again, make him a little smaller. So it looks like, okay, yeah, I could fit one next to him and one below him. Okay, now I know you're probably thinking, well, Miss Bennon, like, we just did that. Do we have to do that 3 more times? Nope, you do not. We're going to make this really easy for you because why do the work 3 times when you can do something much, much faster? Okay, so from here, over on my layers, you see I have my layer 1 and my weird numbered and lettered copied version. Just to keep track of this, I'm going to, let me see if this will work. Nope, it's not letting me do that. I'm going to double click on that and I'm going to rename it Jack 1. Okay, his name's Jack and that's my first Jack. All right, so from there, actually, if I double clicked on this, you can see there are a couple of options within this layer. Okay, right now it's unlocked, so that means I can move it around, and it is visible, so I can see it. If you want to hide it, it's still there, but it's hidden right now. You can see over here, he still exists, but you hit him. Sometimes that comes in handy when you're working on things, but right now we'll make him visible. And we're actually going to duplicate layer. That's going to make your life way easier. So I'm going to click that 1, and I'm going to go back in there, and I'm going to go 2, and we'll go in there again, and I'm going to go 3. So now if I go in, you can see if I go into my layers and I scroll down, I have layer 1, which is my background, Jack 1, Jack 1 copy, Jack 1 copy copy, and Jack 1 copy. So right now you're like, well, Miss Bennon, there are 4 of them, but there's only 1 of him. Well, that's because if you look really closely, they're all stacked on top of each other. All right, so I'm going to grab my move tool again, that's that little arrow kind of by that house key over here. And all I'm going to do is click on one of those layers, which is my Jack 1 copies on top, and I'm going to move it. Kaboom! There are 2 of them. Now, if you're like, ooh, yeah, I didn't quite look closely enough for that, well, you could delete all of them and do it again, but I like to kind of edit as I go. So I'm going to get all of these Jacks moved around. So I'm going to go to my next layer, Jack 1 copy copy, move him into this corner. And the program helps kind of snap him into the corner, so that's nice. And the next one is Jack 1 copy, move down here. Okay, so I got my 4 Jacks, and right now I've got this big gap, kind of like a plus sign in there, and I don't really want that. So I'm going to click on this box, I'm going to go move up a little bit, click on another layer, and I'm going to move this one up a little bit. And then I'm going to go to another Jack layer, and I'm going to just kind of slowly tweak it until it fills the space a little bit better. Da, 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 da. And honestly, they're going to be pretty close. They're not going to be perfect, but that's okay. We're not looking for perfection here today, guys and gals. All right. So, and it's nice too, because every time you click on one of these images, it automatically switches the layer for you. In other programs, you have to actually manually like bring your whole mouse over, click on your layer, and then you can move it around. So this is really convenient and kind of a nice way to do that. All right. So at this point, let's save it. We've not saved anything yet besides our first one, which wasn't a whole lot. So we'll go to File, we'll go to Save, and we'll have this box pop up, and it's all the same except for it's currently what it looks like, and then click Download. Again, save it as a PXD file. Now, it's going to tell you it's downloading, and it's going to end up saving it as another copy, which can be good or bad, because it's good because you have your old layer in case you really messed up. You're like, oh, Miss Bennon, I erased his face. Then you have another copy to go back to. However, you're going to get like a bunch of saved copies. So if you're working and you've gotten past the point where you're like, I won't need this one, you can always delete it. Okay, it's in your download folder. It's good. So from here, I'm actually going to stop the video because I told you a lot of things already up to this point. Again, feel free to rewind, watch through this again. I will be making another video as to how to make this look more like pop art, super colorful, super bright, not realistic colors at all. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. If you have questions at this point and you're like, Miss Bennon, that was way too fast, either watch the video again, pause it, work your way through it, or feel free to send me an email or comment in the Google Classroom. That would be the best options, okay? So I'll leave it at that, and we'll show you how to color it in next time once I can get this off. Woohoo!